Marcy was found in her home, dead. She hung herself. She left her only family alone, her 7-year-old son. Marcy was a famous architect. A very well-known architect. Unfortunately, she became too well-known for the wrong reasons. It is my intention to prove that Suite 776 exists. To that, I will photograph...
Oh, she's moving.
Marcy in motion. I will photograph her even if it kills me, no matter what. All that is left to do is ring her bell. That's all it takes. Just ring the bell. Chat, I really want to go in that room.
Here we go! Okay, let's go!
I'm about to chop Marcy up into little bits. Come get some, Marcy. The hell was that? We're good, chat? Oh my Lanta. Somebody just keep an eye on her, make sure she doesn't do anything stupid. Sometimes it is best to leave myths behind. Treat them as though they don't exist. No matter how badly I want to accept that, I can't. I just have so many questions with no answers. There is a way to save my mother. I know there is. But what could it be? There has to be a pattern of some sort. A sequence of some sort that must be commenced. Okay. So there's different endings to this game. But what? What could the sequence be? I'll have to come back one day and find out.
And I hope you guys enjoyed that playthrough of Sweet 776. The last 3 weeks, I've been trying to bring this to you in its entirety, and it is a great story, a great cinematic game experience, and it's free. The biggest thing about finding games like that is you can sit down, you can play them, and you have a great experience, and hopefully who's developed this game makes more games because the story was great. We found out it was her son that was looking for answers. It's a great atmospheric horror game that is just phenomenal. So if you do want to check it out for yourself, because there's numerous different endings, you can head to Steam, look up Sweet 776, get it for yourself, and take it for a spin. It is a great game. I highly recommend it, and I hope you enjoyed that little 3-part series. But coming up next here on the 1UpXP show, we sit down with Dakota Lee. Dakota Lee is a freelance illustrator and concept artist, and he's worked on some games. You have to remember, games start by drawing or illustration, and then they're brought to the screen and turned into games. So we sit down with him, talk about digital, how he got into this field, and what he has goals for in the future. We'll be right back after this break. And welcome back, everyone, to the 1UpXP show. We are sitting down this week with Dakota Lee. Now, we haven't explored this part of video games or esports in general, but you have to remember the game that you are playing starts in someone's head. There's an illustrator or concept artist, and they get some ideas together, and then they start developing that, turning it into the actual game that we see and play. So we're sitting down with Dakota Lee. Now, I know Dakota through his parents. I have a podcast with his mom, and his mom actually creates the beer at Fresh Coast Brewing Company up in Traverse City. And then his dad is a tattoo artist. Amazing, amazing art that he does. And he also does freelance art. He did the mural painting up in Traverse City behind Fresh Coast Brewery. If you get the opportunity to get up there, you can see that mural, and it is amazing. But this kid has some very talented parents, and he is extremely talented when it comes to illustration, concept art, and he is a heck of a sit-down. I can't thank Dakota Lee for sitting down with me enough, but let's dive into what it takes to be a freelance illustrator and concept artist and take his talents to games and really just drawing in general. Let's see what he had to say. I know you're working on a game right now, right? You're working on the concept art for a game currently, correct?
Yeah, I'm helping out on an indie game. So just to kind of give a background of what I've done, I'm mostly I'm a much stronger illustrator than I am like concept artist and designer. Okay. Like there's a lot of like old trial and error work that's like hidden on my Instagram. That's just like fumbling around, hoping for the best, but I've always had a good eye for illustration.
Right.
So I've been doing a lot of key art and marketing art. So there's a company, New Blood Interactive. At the time they were publishing a game called Maximum Action. I did art for that. Another game called Unfortunate Spacemen.
I've heard of that one.
And then I've been working with Night Dive Studios here and there on stuff. I did some illustration work for the System Shock remake and System Shock 2 Enhanced Edition, and Power Slave, which they just announced last month.
Oh, nice. When does that
Pretty
come out?
cool. I don't know. They haven't given a release date. I just saw I redesigned the map screen and a couple other things. The map
Cool.
screen's in the trailer, so they're just kind of cleaning up and making fresh what was already pretty cool, but just needed a fresh coat of paint.
Got
So
make it make it a little prettier, if you will.
yeah,
Which,
Night Dive's great. I've been wanting to work with them for years, so I've gotten to know quite a few of the team members, and they're an awesome client. They're really cool people.
Okay, so another question. See, this is what I love about podcasts because I'm diving into something that I really know nothing about, and now I'm I'm going down the tangents because how do you get into the doors or meet some of these people to get involved with that stuff? Like, do you meet them at like Comic Cons or do you meet them at like just randomly online? You just happen to get your foot in the door?
Yeah. So for me, I can only speak on personal experience.
Right.
I really started to realize how great of a tool Twitter is.
Right.
Obviously it's God's problems. It's not perfect, but if you tailor it to what you want, you can really get a lot out of it. And it's also like, I genuinely have fun scrolling it, which is weird to say for Twitter.
Oh no, I do too. I get lost in it.
Yeah, no, me too. There's a lot of fun stuff. But yeah, so New Blood Interactive, one of their really big games was Dusk, and which is kind of like a retro Quake inspired FPS game, but it's just so fun.
I've played Dusk on stream, which is
Nice.
it's a great game. Yeah, I dove into that one and instantly fell in love.
Yeah, it's great. They deserve all the credit for it. It's incredible. But I did fan art for it like 3 or 4 years ago and posted it on Twitter, and the creators saw it, and it just kind of got the ball rolling. And then last year in February or March, the producer Dave Oshry at New Blood literally was like, "Hey, we need a poster artist for this game we're working on like right now," and it was like a 2-minute old tweet. So I just like slid in, and I had fan art and a portfolio, so he recognized it and recognized my work and kind of got the ball rolling. So, and
that's awesome.
That's basically what I've been doing for a year, is just fan art of stuff, connecting, talking to people, meeting people, and then all within that same circle, like the Night Dive people know the New Blood people, and so on and so forth, and so making those connections for myself.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome when you have those doors open for you and you can get your foot in and be able to. I mean, that's what it's all about. When I always grasp the concept of once you're in, you're in. Like, you don't have problems staying in, but the hard problem is getting in. I mean, and that's always, it's the same way with TV broadcasting. It's hard to get in, but once you're in, you're in. Unless you do something horribly wrong, you're always going to be there, or you're going to find some work in it. And I feel like video games in general, it's not hard to get in, but where there's different categories, it's hard to get in. And once you're in, your work gets recognized and you're kind of in. Like, everyone's gonna be like, who did that?
That was I'm very fortunate enough to have that, because like those types of games, there's a very niche kind of community around them that there's all similar games. And so my work and what I like kind of naturally gravitated towards that. So I was very lucky to have found an audience, because it's much harder to break in on the overall like AAA space, because there's just so much. Like, it's so saturated.
Don't go anywhere. We'll have more with Dakota Lee right after the break. And welcome back, everyone, to the 1UpXP show. Here's part 2 with our sit down with Dakota Lee. He is a freelance illustrator and concept artist, and we learned where he went to school, how he got into the digital side of things, and also a little bit of background on where this artistic ability comes from. Here's what he had to say. But we're going to get into some of the questions here because I am just full of them at the moment.
Sure.
You mentioned it earlier. You said Kendall down in Grand Rapids. So what did you study down at Kendall?
So Kendall, I kind of jumped around a little bit. So I went in for illustration for a couple of years. And so I did a lot of my core classes and then a couple of like illustration basics. And then I ended up in digital media for my last 2 years. Okay. Which I'm kind of a boomer. Like, it took me way too long to set up like Zoom and like make sure you could hear me. So I was really crappy with like Photoshop and just computers in general. So I'm like, okay, I need to sink my teeth into this because I'm not good at it. And I just need to get with the program and just like really sit there and figure it out and just go all in. So I was
the same way. When I started streaming, I streamed from my console first because that's all I knew when it came to video games. and streaming was new for pretty much a lot of people at the time. This was back in 2015. And then when I got to a PC, like doors were there, and I was like, what do I peek around this door? And it was like, PCs. I was like, oh, I know nothing about this. And it was something you really kind of have to sit down, and if you do sit down and take the time, figure out about PCs, but everything that goes with it. So I was looking at YouTube content, how to make YouTube content, how to get used to Photoshop and Premiere, and figure out all that on your own. And it takes time, but when you're done with it, you can make solid projects with simple tools. And it's great to, get on that bus, because I was just like you. I'm a little bit older than you, but I was just like, hey man, I gotta figure this out, because this wasn't my cup of tea, Even as a weatherman worked with computers, this type of computer work was so lost on me. And again, that might be something that kids look into, but digital is, it's always updating. And we'll talk about it with your PC setup, because I know you have a brand new graphics card in there.
Yes.
But like every year there's something new, and it's like every update there's something new, and it's just something that you have to stay on top of. Otherwise, it's going to be more work down the road, especially if you want to do.
And it can make your work, you can make your work like easier too. Like sometimes, like I had to shell out a lot of money for a brand new setup because I was just working off a laptop for so long. But it's like you'll make that money back, and like everything is just so much faster now for clients. Like just turn around, because like I just started a big poster gig with New Blood this week, and it's like on my old laptop last year, like that file would have like burnt out my fans. And now it's nothing. Like I can make every big brush stroke, small brush, like whatever. Like it's just, my life is easier, and I'm more than happy with that.
So we were talking about this a little bit before the podcast, just because I know your dad, I know your mom a little bit. I know your mom more than your dad, but your dad is a very talented artist. And he does tattoo work. I saw he did the mural on the back of the brewery in Traverse City. And that was like, this seems genetic, because I know your mom is very artistic in a way as well. I mean, making beer is not, is an art of its own.
She won't say she is, but she is, because you've got to have a certain, like, you just have to have a certain flair to do beer like that, or even like baking or anything. To me, that's creative. There's a science behind it, but it's still creative.
Yeah, you're 100%. But then I asked you, so is it genetic? Where did this all start? And you were giving me a little bit of what you've learned recently, but do you think it's genetic? Where did this all start? I mean, did your dad rub off on you when it came to artistic work, or?
I think so. I do think I am a product of like my environment. So my grandma who's staying with us is also a huge nerd. Like we go to the comic shop still.
That's awesome. I love that.
And we went to go see a movie like last week still. And like, so my love of movies and nerd stuff like that was encouraged by her. And then my dad loved that stuff. As much of a sports fan he is, he also loved, like I watched Predator and Alien way too young. But like to kind of like, my mom was kind of mad about it, but to kind of easy, he goes, no, there's, artists make this, and this is all make believe. And so I would watch the behind the scenes on like DVDs and stuff, and they would cut to a guy. I mean, this was back then when you draw on like paper before, and I'm like, whoa, you can get paid to do that? Okay. And so that was always like in the back of my mind, like, say what you will about the 2005 remake of King Kong, but like,
it wasn't bad.
Yeah, I don't mind it. No. And there's like 4 hours of behind the scenes, and it's just all these artists coming up with dinosaurs and cool jungles and temples, and I'm like, okay, there's something to this, and there's just something to this.
And thank you again from the bottom of my heart to Dakota Lee for sitting down with me and talking about this. A lot of people don't know what goes into concept art, or what the game design, the art design of a game. And he filled us in quite a bit. So make sure you check that podcast out. You can head to 910news.com and check it out, or you can stream it wherever you stream podcasts. Thank you again, Dakota Lee. I do appreciate it. He shares a love with Newfoundlands. Bowser is my Newfoundland. They have a Newfoundland. December, his mom. Ram, his dad. I can't thank that family enough for opening the doors to meeting Dakota and seeing everything that they have. Wonderful family, and I can't thank you guys enough, but we have one more segment here left on the 1UpXP show, and we do have a clip of the week. It comes from my good buddy who used to be on my pro Fortnite team, JustOutPlayed, Jordan. he comes in hot with something I haven't seen yet in the new Call of Duty game. We'll check that out right after the break. And welcome back, everyone. We have a clip of the week this week, and it goes to my good buddy who used to be on my Fortnite team, JustOutPlayed. Jordan gets a V2 rocket in the new Call of Duty. The game isn't even a week old yet, and this man's out here getting V2s on Team Deathmatch nonetheless. And what a V2 rocket is essentially a nuke, a tactical nuke that comes in and basically ends the game. He got 25 kills in a row without dying, and not including kill streaks, I do not believe. But regardless, this man in Team Deathmatch got a V2 rocket, and yeah, it was pretty stellar. He went 44-1 because the V2 rocket kills you, so it counts as a death. But 44-0, this week's clip goes to Jordan. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate playing games with you. And Clam was there with us, Sir Sully was there, and then also Outplayed's brother was there with us. And if you yourself have a clip of the week, or you think you have a clip of the week, you can send it in to me at michaelstevens@910news.com. Tag me on Facebook, tag me on Twitter, send it to me on Twitch. I don't care. I want your clips, just like Jordan's. Be good, stay safe, take care, have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you guys right back here on Monday.
Here we go!